This is a story of the gathering at Rajagriha on Mount Gridhakuta in India 2,500 years ago. Avalokitesvara, who was one of the 10 disciples of Shakyamuni Buddha and the first among all his disciples, had been making an exhaustive study of the following questions. What is the true happiness for people? And why do people have to go through pain, suffering, affliction, and fear? Avalokitesvara meditated deeply to find answers to those questions in order to attain enlightenment. Avalokitesvara attained enlightenment while meditating and reached a state of peacefulness by perfecting deep wisdom and compassion. At that moment, he realized that the human body and the mind have no substance because everything is constantly changing. In fact, all materials in the world and all phenomena that occur there have no substance. Therefore, one should not oscillate between optimism and pessimism by feeling happy and anxious in turns. Avalokitesvara woke to the understanding that situations such as winning or losing, making a profit or sustaining a loss, and being healthy or becoming ill are all but an illusion of a moment. Therefore, one should not oscillate between optimism and pessimism. As a result of this awakening, the feelings of attachment and bondage to such situations disappeared, and he was released from all pain, suffering, distress, and misfortune. He reached the peaceful and blissful state of enlightenment. While Avalokitesvara was giving a speech in front of Shakyamuni Buddha, many of his disciples, lay followers, and other audience members, he addressed Sariputra, who was one of the 10 disciples of Shakyamuni Buddha, as follows. All material objects that exist and all those phenomena that occur in this universe have no substance. That is, they are empty. Everything and every phenomenon, including our bodies, will eventually crumble and disappear when the time comes. Though they disappear, it does not mean they become nothing, but rather they enter the realm of emptiness. All material objects that exist in this world at this moment have nothing but temporary forms. We are simply seeing forms of illusions, while not being able to see the real forms of things. Mental functions such as feelings, perception, mental formation, and consciousness are all illusions without substance, just the same as material objects. Venerable Sariputra, everything that exists in this world has no substance, and each changes constantly. All things are emptiness by their characteristics. Therefore, concepts such as being born or dying represent transient, temporary forms in this world. Since they have no substance, you should not cling to such concepts. Similarly, you should not cling to concepts such as being clean or being dirty. In addition, you should not attach yourself to concepts such as increasing or decreasing. The reason why you should not attach yourself to such concepts is because in the realm of emptiness, there are no material objects, no phenomena, no feelings, no perception, no mental formation, and no consciousness. There are no eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, or mind. Therefore, you should not attach yourself to appearance, sound, odor, taste, touch, or objects of minds and knowledge. In the realm of emptiness, neither the world your eyes see, your ears hear, your nose smells, your tongue tastes, your body touches, nor the world your mind reflects upon exists. Do not be swayed by arguments such as whether worldly passions exist or not, by clinging to that idea. In any case, stop clinging and free yourself of delusion. People suffer because they are fearful of old age and death. They are afraid of old age and death because they falsely believe that their bodies are theirs and are their possession. If you do not want to suffer, do not cling to your body and release yourself from thinking of old age and death. When you advance in age, live your life by enjoying happiness as befitting old age. Next, Avalokitesvara addressed his followers gathered there who were seeking to attain enlightenment as follows. There are two types of desires, good and impure. The cause of suffering and affliction is insatiable, impure desires and worldly passions. Therefore, try your best to restrain such negative desires and worldly passions. Human beings make efforts simply to fulfill their own desires. They hold on to false ideas with a selfish mind because they falsely believe that it is good enough that only he is saved or relieved from suffering. Expectations and discrimination are also false thinking that arise from attachment. However, once you realize that those ideas and thinking are the true cause of suffering and affliction, that is, to awaken to the truth of reality, you will no longer be clinging to, nor having attachment to, worldly things. There will be no hindrance to your mind. Once you abandon clinging and relinquish attachment to worldly things, suffering, affliction, and fear will be extinguished. Therefore, one should stay away from harmful false ideas and delusions. As you know from what I have mentioned so far, people seek their fortunes, status, honor, or pleasure out of egocentricity and work only for their own gain. But this is false thinking stemming from attachment. You should never cling onto such ideas so that you will not drown in suffering. If you cling onto them excessively, then they will lead you to failure and suffering, conflict and dispute. Sometimes they will harm people, even killing them, or may cause a war. Excessive impure desires will surely destroy your body. This also extends to such entities as nations, ethnic groups, religious bodies, or organizations. The consequence that results from such attachments is terrible suffering. It is foolish, and at the same time unfortunate, not only for human beings, but also for nations and ethnic groups as well. Why do conflicts and disputes or pain and suffering arise? We need to look at what really caused them. The true solution to those questions will not be found if we leave the matter to chance without determining the cause. Rather, human beings, ethnic groups, and nations should all face such problems head-on, and each should strive to work together to solve the problems with wisdom and courage. The cause of conflicts and disputes, or pain and suffering, stems from impure desires and worldly passions. Failure and suffering or conflict and disputes all arise from the desires of greed, anger, ignorance, and delusion. Humans hope and pray for being prosperous in business or being cured of illness without working hard to attain their wishes. Such wishes or prayers are empty dreams, full of craving and wicked thoughts. They are false ideas. One cannot grab happiness without making an effort. One should stay far away from such harmful and wrong-headed dreams. It is important for you to determine how you live or how you wish to live your life. There are two ways to live your life. One is to live just for yourself, with empty dreams, by thinking only of your own good fortune. Another is to live for others, with grand dreams, by putting forth unrelenting efforts for the sake of mankind, for the benefit of the world. Which way do you choose to live your life? If one chases after money, wealth, position, or pleasure by ever-intensifying greed only for his own self-interest and with an impure desire to benefit or make a profit for himself only, he will lose modesty and the frame of mind for prudence, and will begin to convince himself that he has the soundest judgment. Eventually, he will lose the ability to judge right from wrong. Finally, he will lose self-control. He will lie, commit dishonest deeds, break laws, and fall into the path of destroying his own life. This is a truly foolish life full of fear, pain, and regret. Flying into a great rage for some trivial matter, or engaging in endless arguments, or starting fights, is foolish behavior that is the result of a lack of self-control. Worldly passions cause the body and mind to be troubled and distressed. There are 108 kinds of troubling worldly passions. It might be helpful for you to probe into what those worldly passions are. In addition, one should not blame others for their own failures, as humans are prone to make mistakes or be unsuccessful in things. Whatever happens to you, each of the happenings has its causes. Suffering, pain, disaster, misery, or even success and happiness do not occur suddenly. Rather, each of those occurrences comes about because of your actions. Therefore, the cause of your failure is solely due to yourself. The reality is that the result of your thoughts and deeds leads you to failure. It is essential for you to realize this reality. You might ask yourself, why did I fail? And why can't I be happy? If you wish to know the answers, you need to self-examine by constantly reflecting on your speech and conduct. You should examine extensively whether you might have made a mistake or committed some wrong. If you have indeed made a mistake or committed some wrong, then repent by permanently imprinting in your memory that you will never again commit the same mistake. The key to success is to reform oneself by one's own effort. If one accurately judges right from wrong and conducts himself properly, he can not only avoid failures, but will be released from pain and suffering and can reach the peaceful mental state of a mind full of happiness. In this manner, one can lead a life of happiness. To reach that state of mind, train yourself by practicing the Eightfold Noble Path and the 6 kinds of practice by which bodhisattvas are able to attain enlightenment. When you practice these teachings as part of your training, you should practice properly in a natural way. However, you should not practice by consciously thinking about attaining wisdom or enlightenment. You should practice by simply behaving wisely with good judgment in daily life. That is sufficient. Practice correctly and try to maintain a state of mind like a beautiful and pure flower, without attachment, impure desires, or delusion. In addition, keep a bottomless compassion and kindness toward all sentient beings and living creatures in your mind, and conduct yourself for the benefit of others without thinking about your own gain. Lastly, try to be a person who can express his gratitude by simply saying thank you at any time, under any circumstances, and for any occasion. At the same time, try to be a person who can honestly apologize when you feel guilt for having done wrong to someone. Humans, ethnic groups, and nations all have different ideas, philosophies, cultures, and religions. However, it is important to overcome the differences and acknowledge the existence of others and their good points without pursuing only one's own benefits or asserting only one's own national interests. If we extend our arms to others and seek coexistence and a mutually symbiotic way of living, I believe there will be no occurrence of conflict or war, and happy families, peaceful nations, and a peaceful world will become a reality. A human being does not live in this world all by himself. He lives not only with his fellow humans, but also with all things that exist in this world. Each person and each thing are all interrelated. We exist by both supporting and being supported. Therefore, selfishly thinking only for oneself is a serious mistake. One should thoroughly understand this reality. With this understanding, one should live his life by being in harmony with all fellow humans, ethnic groups, nations, living things, natural resources, nature, and the Earth's environment, while he acts in the role of coexistence and mutual understanding by having a compassionate heart toward others. If one truly lives like this, then, as a result, every human and every living creature can live a full and peaceful life. Hence, I beg you to embrace the way of thinking and living that I have described. To live in that way is essentially the completion of wisdom and compassion for you. In other words, it is the path to enlightenment and the way to happiness. The profound teachings of the wisdom of Buddha drive away perplexity and doubt and distress. The contents of the Heart Sutra are the words that inspire great courage and strength in each of us. There is no other teaching that surpasses those words. The profound teachings of the wisdom of Buddha are the best teaching beyond any comparison. These teachings are the answer to remove all suffering and pain, which are the causes of distress. However, if you only chant the sutra, it is not sufficient. One should chant it and think about the true meaning of the contents of the sutra and try to understand them. If you diligently practice the teachings of the 6 kinds of practice by which bodhisattvas are able to attain enlightenment, while setting your sights on and achieving the Eightfold Noble Path every day, then you should be able to eliminate the impure desires or worldly passions. As a result, you will receive a blessing called happiness. This is not a false happiness, but a true one. The profound teachings of the Heart Sutra expound enlightenment as follows. Discard worldly passions and egocentric personality and seek the path to the world of Buddha. Relinquish attachment, delusion, and ignorance, and seek the path that leads to attaining enlightenment. Enter the world of perfect enlightenment, that is, the world of happiness. Enlightenment itself is supreme, and it is the only path to true happiness. These are the ultimate teachings of the Heart Sutra. Worldly passions are usually explained as those that cause the body and mind to suffer. Since there are many different aspects of worldly passions, and they are interpreted in various ways, may we offer the following. Worldly passions include strong sexual desire, craving intimacy, and persistent greediness, a self-centered attitude, persistent greed for money, property, titles, fame, and pleasure, stinginess and lack of generosity with money and the sharing of one's belongings, arrogance and immodesty, shamelessness, lack of consideration for others, unhesitant indifference toward the breaking of social rules, and lacking a sense of guilt for behaviors such as speaking loudly on cell phones in quiet places like the train or public bus, throwing garbage like cigarette butts and soda cans on the street, taking the courtesy seat on the train without thinking of others, shoplifting, drunken driving, damaging important cultural property, stealing a natural monument, and so on. Hot-headedness, quickly getting mad when things don't go as one wishes. Jealousy, envying the success and prosperity of others. The idea of defeating others by breaking social taboos. Enjoying harming and killing other living things. Petulance, the inability to know the difference between right and wrong. Distrust, suspiciousness, doing whatever one wants, being of uncalm mind, lack of concentration, conceitedness, self-righteousness and hard-headedness, being unable to listen to others, always complaining about others, being pretentious and telling lies, deceit, being two-faced, a tattletale, and sowing discord between friends.